What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 153 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Tuesday, April 7, 2026. I'm your host, Zach Malum, but before we get started, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of basketball as the New York Knicks were in action last night. They were down in Atlanta taking on the Atlanta Hawks, and the Knicks won this game 108-105, the final. New York got 30 points and 13 assists from their star man in Jalen Brunson. A great game as well from Karl Anthony Towns in this one. 21 points on 9 of 12 shooting, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, a couple steals, and a block for Cat. Great game for him. But this game did not end without a review as CJ McCollum heaves one up from half court at the buzzer. It goes down at the end of regulation. However, the officials reviewed it, and he was just a millisecond behind, the ball still in his hands as the clock expired, and the Knicks end up holding on for a 3-point victory. They avoid overtime, which is huge for this Knicks team as well. Well, heading into these next couple of games down the stretch, the Knicks handled business, though, and great job by the Knicks against a very tough Atlanta Hawks team. Now 45-34 on the year, but they were red hot coming into this game, and I think the Knicks really proved a point here against this Atlanta team that if they face them in a playoff series, yes, the game may be close, and the games may be close, but this Knicks team is the better team, and they got the star power down the stretch to really step up. So I also want to give credit to Mikal Bridges in this game, who a lot of times Mikal Bridges is an outlier in this Knicks lineup, does not really do much, and especially big games like this. But he had a very solid 15 points in this game on 7 of 13 shooting, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, couple steals, and a block as well in 32 minutes. Great job by Mikal to really step up when the Knicks needed it the most. So give credit to him. And then really the Knicks heading into these next couple of games, they have their eyes set on other teams and other games around the NBA, specifically with the Boston Celtics, who sit right now in the 2 seed. The Knicks are 2.5 games back of the Celtics for the 2 seed, and Boston is in action tonight. They take on the Charlotte Hornets in a very tough game out in Boston today. But when you look at the Knicks side of things, they're keeping an eye on that, because if the Boston Celtics do win this game, they do not clinch just yet. I think that's really important for this Knicks team heading into their next game, which is against the Boston Celtics. This one takes place on Thursday night. It's a 7:30 start at Madison Square Garden, as the Celtics 53-25 on the year right now, and the Knicks 51-28. Should be a great battle at MSG, and it's almost, as they say in England, a 6-pointer. This is a very important game. That's what we'll say here for this Knicks team against the Boston Celtics to try and regather things in that 2-seed race. This Celtics team does have an extra game in hand, so it's very important for the Knicks to find a victory on Thursday night. It will be down to 1, the magic number for Boston, if they end up beating the Charlotte Hornets this evening out in Boston. So we'll see what happens, but make sure you tune in to the Knicks against the Celtics on Thursday night, and we'll preview that game on Thursday's episode as well. 7:30 start at MSG. Staying in the world of basketball, but shifting things to the college game, as there was a very important game in the world of college basketball yesterday evening, and it was the national championship out in Indianapolis, as the 2 seed out of the East region, the UConn Huskies, took on the 1 seed out of the Midwest region in the Michigan Wolverines, and it was Michigan who came out on top. They are back on top for the first time in 37 years in college basketball. A great season overall for Michigan, where they finish off the year with a national championship and a 37-3 record. A couple of blips along the way, but Michigan was the best team in college basketball down the stretch for sure, especially in the NCAA tournament, where they really dominated opponents and, in my opinion, dominated the best team in college basketball beside them in the Arizona Wildcats in the semifinal just a couple of days ago. But even when you look at Michigan throughout this year, a couple blips on the radar. When you look at that game against Wisconsin in early January, came down to defense in that game. Wisconsin could not miss from beyond the arc. They also had a blip against Duke, a non-conference game in the middle of conference play. And that game really just came down to Michigan had some stuff going on offense, but I think it was more mistakes on defense. It was a defensive battle, and Duke and Michigan going back and forth. You got to say in the end that it had partly to do with defense, why Michigan ended up losing that game. And finally, the third game, the Big Ten championship against Purdue, which also came down to defense. So what? In the end, of course, won Michigan the national championship. It was their defense in this game, holding UConn to 63 points and just abysmal shooting from the field for the Huskies. 31% they shot from the field with just 27% shooting from beyond the arc. On Michigan's side, it was way worse even when you look at it. They were 13% from beyond the arc, 38% from the field, but it was the free throws that got them over the line. They were terrific from the free throw line in this game, and yeah, maybe an argument they got a couple more calls than UConn in this game. Michigan ends up shooting 28 free throws on the evening to just 16 for UConn. But I believe in this game, it just came down to how good Michigan was on defense. They could win all type of ways, and they've proved that multiple times this year. Give credit to the Wolverines, who are back on top for the first time in 37 years. They are national champions. Well, let's shift things to the world of baseball, as both of your teams were in action this weekend, and we'll start things with the New York Yankees as they hosted the Miami Marlins for a 3-game set at Yankee Stadium, the home opener on Friday, and the Yankees came out in grand style as they end up defeating the Marlins 8-2 in the opener. And a big part of that was the man himself, Aaron Judge, the reigning MVP. He steps up in the first inning, and it's a towering blast into left field. 387 feet is where it went, but into the bleachers to give the Yankees a 2-1 lead, and the Yankees did not look back from there, just really chipping away at it. Ben Rice had a couple of big hits on the afternoon, and the Yankees end up winning it 8-2 behind Will Warren as well, with a very solid outing. 5 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 6 Ks for Will Warren in this one. Really stepped up for the Yankees, and then they head into Saturday's game where it got a little bit tougher. Marlins have been really good so far this year, especially based on expectations early on this season. It was the Marlins who came out to a blistering 4-0 lead on this Yankees team, and the Yankees come all the way back. It all started in the 5th inning. Cody Bellinger lit the fire with a 2-run bomb into right center field. That ended up giving the Marlins a 4-2 lead, but then Grisham with an RBI single. You have Aaron Judge follow that up with an RBI single. Cody Bellinger then hits a sac fly, and back to back to back, the Yankees end up getting runs in the 6th inning. And of course, they added to it. It did end up going back into a tie game after Javier Sanoja ends up hitting a 2-run double into left field in the top of the 8th. It was a struggle in the end, but the Yankees found a way, and Giancarlo Stanton with a 2-run single, with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th, and then Ben Rice also scoring on a pass ball gave the Yankees a 9-6 lead. Xavier Edwards would respond with an RBI single in the top of the 9th, but that's all the Marlins had left in the tank. David Bednar gets the save, an inning pitch with 3 hits allowed, the earned run with 1 walk and 2 Ks. And I think that's a big sign for the Yankees that no matter how bad their pitching can be some days, and no matter how well they can pitch other days, the Yankees can find ways to win. If their pitching is bad, their offense can step up and put up 9 runs to help them get over the line. So that's a huge win for the Yankees. It did finish off the series in bad fashion as the Marlins end up taking the 3rd game of the 3-game set to end up giving the Yankees the series win 2-1, but the Marlins take 1 as they go back to Miami now. But it was Jake Bird who really struggled in this game, and that was the losing pitcher in this one, 1-1 on the year. He only goes 0+ in this game, just cannot get an out. He allowed a hit with 3 earned runs, 1 walk, and no strikeouts. Just a tough day for Jake Bird, who's been excellent, in my opinion, throughout the start of this season. So the Yankees end up losing the final game of the 3-game set, and they head into another series now on their home field. This one, they welcome the Athletics out from Sacramento, who come into this game 3-6. But the Yankees will take on the A's, and it all starts tonight. A 7:05 start at the stadium. Aaron Savali will take on Cam Schlittler, and Schlittler has been so good so far this season, 2-0 on the year. Hasn't allowed a run, 11 2/3 innings pitched with just 3 hits allowed, 15 strikeouts, just electric. He doesn't even have a walk as well this year, Schlittler. Just great stuff from him, and he's looking to continue that against a struggling Athletics lineup. So we'll see what happens. Start of a 3-game set tonight. Make sure you tune in later. It's a 7:05 start at the stadium between the Yankees and the Athletics. On the other side of New York, the New York Mets are also in action today. They were also in action this weekend. They would come back from their West Coast trip. They had a 4-game set against the San Francisco Giants, coming off of the series loss to the St. Louis Cardinals earlier last week. And then you have this tough series against the San Francisco Giants on the road. But the Giants have been so bad so far this year, and they proved that again in the rest of this series. You got to give the Mets credit. They end up bouncing back after a very rough 7-2 loss on Thursday, where it just was all about David Peterson and then Sean Manaea. Just could not get some outs for this Mets team. They allow 7 runs combined. A tough day for Peterson in the end, and the Giants end up winning it 7-2 on Thursday. You get to Friday's game as well, and it was the Mets who came out on top. They bounced back. Nolan McLean on the mound had a no-hitter heading into the 6th, and really just stepped up for this Mets team. But it was also really about the offense in this one. Right away, Bo Bichette an RBI single. Marcus Semien an RBI single. Marcus Semien again in the top of the 4th inning hits a 2-run bomb. Francisco Alvarez follows one of those up with a bomb himself into center. Alvarez would have 2 home runs in the game, really playing well for the Mets right now in the bottom of their lineup, and the Mets end up winning it 10-3 on Friday night. Great bounce back for the Mets after a 3-game losing streak. They step up and really get to Tyler Mahle right away in this one. You move to Saturday, same thing. Just the pitching was so electric, and the offense was really on fire in this one. A 9-0 victory for the New York Mets as Clay Holmes got the win, his 2nd of the year. He was electric in this game, though. 7 innings pitched with 3 hits allowed, no runs, with 2 walks and 4 Ks. Great job by Clay Holmes, just getting out of trouble when he needed to. Really stepped up in this one, and the Mets offense helped him out. They gave him some breathing room with a 5-0 lead, actually an 8-0 lead, as they headed into the top of the 6th, or the bottom of the 5th, excuse me. Great stuff by this Mets offense once again. Tyrone Taylor stepping up multiple times for this Mets team, and he ends up finishing it off with a 3-run bomb in the top of the 5th that really ended this game, as Roop, who had been so good, Landon Roop, the pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, who had been so good so far this season and really stepped up in his first start, got completely sent out in this one. He's the losing pitcher, 1-1 on the season now. Great stuff by the Mets on offense, and they really step up as well in terms of their starting pitching. That continued once again as you look at Sunday's game and the final game of the 4-game series, looking for the series win, and the Mets got it in the end. Mark Vientos started off everything with an RBI single in the 2nd inning. The Giants ended up responding a couple of hits from their star guys. Matt Chapman hits an RBI double, and Rafi Devers ends up hitting an RBI single. All of a sudden, blink of an eye, it's 2-1 Giants, but it was Luis Torrens who came out off the bench, a career .352 hitter as a pinch hitter, and he steps up once again, hits a 2-run double into right field, which scores both runs, a 3-2 lead the Mets have, and they add on to it. They make it 5-2 in the top of the 8th, and Devin Williams comes in for the save as the Mets lock things down, a 5-2 victory for New York. They did not get some great news in the last couple of days, though, after that win against the San Francisco Giants, series win against the San Francisco Giants. Juan Soto is going to be out for a couple of weeks now, expected 2 to 3 weeks or so with a right calf strain. The Mets put him on the 10-day IL. So who's going to step up in his absence? They really need the guys at the top of the lineup to do so in these next couple of games. And it all starts with this next series. And it starts this afternoon. A bit of a change, which is a weird one right now because the New York Yankees taking on the Athletics at Yankee Stadium, just a couple miles away from Citi Field, are still playing their game at 7 o'clock tonight, a 7:05 start at the stadium. And the Mets decide that they're going to push things up because of the weather conditions. So they're going to play some 4:10 games the next couple of days. A little bit weird that both of these teams in New York were not completely on the same page in terms of that. The weather is what it is, and the Mets decide that they're going to change it for their benefit, hopefully, in the end. 4:10 start, and it starts today. A 4:10 start, like I mentioned, against the Arizona Diamondbacks, as Freddie Peralta will be on the mound taking on Zach Gallen. Gallen 1-1 this year, 3.60 ERA. Peralta on the other side, 1-0 this season with a 4.35 ERA. Last start did not go well towards the end, went pretty well towards the beginning, had a lot of great stuff against the St. Louis Cardinals. You remember back on that day game last Wednesday. But Freddie Peralta really just looking to continue to roll here. 10 1/3 innings pitched so far this season with a 4.35 ERA. A lot of that came from the opening day start where he did get the win, but allowed a lot of runs to that Pittsburgh lineup. But when you look at this series against the Diamondbacks, it's all about the struggle right now for the Diamondbacks offense. They have a lot of guys at the top of their lineup and a lot of guys that are struggling as well. A lot of star power there. The one guy that is stepping up right now is Corbin Carroll, and that's somebody that Freddie Peralta is going to have to look out for today. He's batting .313 with 2 home runs and 9 RBIs so far this season. Great stuff from him. The rest of the guys around him, Geraldo Perdomo, Cadel Marte, Nolan Arenado, I think one of those guys would have to break out of their slump. We'll see if they do so against this Mets team. So we'll see what happens. Make sure you tune in all series long as the Mets host the Diamondbacks at Citi Field. This one comes before they host the Athletics at the weekend as well out in Queens. So we'll see what happens. Make sure you tune into this one later. 4:10 start. The Diamondbacks and the Mets. It's Gallen against Peralta. What a showdown we have at Citi Field. But let's finish things off today in the world of hockey, as the New York Islanders have been making noise in the last couple of days. It has not been good noise for the guys out on Long Island, as the Islanders coming off of arguably their worst loss of the season, a 4-1 demolition against the Philadelphia Flyers. Matvei Michkov had a goal and 2 assists for Philly in this one. He gets the first star. But this one was all Philly, and the Islanders not coming out on the front foot ever in a game, it seems, in the last month. When you look at this Islanders team, they sat back most of the game. They have not played well. And this one just really caps off a very rough stretch for this Islanders team. They've lost 4 in a row, 7 of their last 10. And this is a team that's trying to make it into the playoffs. Right now, the Islanders are outside looking in towards the playoff picture. They're a game out of the wild card, a point out of the wild card. And they have played a game more than the Ottawa Senators, who sit in the second wild card spot. They are also a point out from the third spot in the Metropolitan Division, as the Philadelphia Flyers sit on 90 points, 77 games played. Islanders with 89 points, 78 games played. So they have to press the reset button, and that's exactly what they do. And it comes to the expense of their head coach in Patrick Roy, who leaves the Islanders and is fired by GM Matthew Darche. The Islanders end up parting ways with Roy, but they name Peter DeBoer the replacement for Patrick Roy. Really right away, the Islanders did so. And with 4 games left, the Islanders need a boost here, and maybe it's going to come at the head coach with Peter DeBoer, who's been really good in his first couple of seasons with teams, especially in his first season specifically, has made a couple of Stanley Cup finals with teams that he's taken over. And I think when you're looking at Peter DeBoer, he's the best option if the Islanders had one heading into the offseason as well. I think this game as well, or this move as well, came down to Friday night and the poor performance that the Islanders showed on their home ice. They get booed off their home ice on Friday night against the Flyers. That's more of the statement in my mind when you look at firing Patrick Waugh and bringing in Pete DeBoer. You do not want to get booed off your home ice in a playoff race right now with just 4 games to go. That's exactly what happened to this Islanders team at UBS on Friday night. So the Islanders are going in a different direction. They have one last desperation move, and it is at the head coaching spot, as Peter DeBoer will take over the Islanders head coaching job. Patrick Waugh relieved of his duties, and the Islanders really coming down to it. They have to get some wins in their last 4 games. The good news for the Islanders, they are all on home ice. They will have the home crowd behind them. You do feel that the Islanders will play better if they have that little bit of boost from the crowd. The final 4 games of the season, the Maple Leafs on Thursday, the Senators on Saturday, you got Montreal on Sunday, and then you have the Carolina Hurricanes coming to town to finish off the season on Tuesday, a week from today. So we'll see what happens, but make sure you tune in on Thursday now, and we'll preview this game on Thursday's episode. But the Islanders host the Toronto Maple Leafs, an old friend in John Tavares. He will be taking the ice at UBS Arena. A 6:45 start. Weird start time, but the Islanders will take on the Maple Leafs in a huge game at UBS. But that will do it for episode 153 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malamuth. Thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Thursday.